Yeah. Namaskar, Captain Tyagi, and all our friends and listeners. Today we have a topic of Bharatvarsh, how to remove all signs of slavery. As you all know, recently Prime Minister had appealed we must get rid of all symbols and signs of mental servitude. This servitude has entered into our mindset, in our consciousness, as a result of centuries of subjugation under Islamic and British subjugation. Now, this mental servitude not only is not only just British colonialism, but also Islamic colonialism. Both are equally harmful, both are equally regressive, and we must get rid of both of them. Now, in case of Goa, there is a mental servitude towards Portuguese. There are many symbols and signs of Portuguese domination in Goa. We must include that also. So, overall, what Prime Minister had appealed, our mindset must migrate from non alignment to Bharatiya alignment, from colonial mindset to sovereign mindset. Now I come to another aspect of this issue. Like some friends have been saying that beating retreat has been modified or it has been desecrated and all that. So I would like to present my views on that. See, during British domination, it was military that ruled supreme. They had occupied the country by virtue of the strength of military only. So that's the reason they designed beating retreat in such a manner that it was only military establishment that gathered at Vijay Chowk, saluted the establishment, and went away. Now, under the new mindset, under the new paradigm thinking, what Prime Minister wants that representatives of all walks of life from all over the country gather at Vijay Chowk to wish President and the Constitution and go back to their barracks or homes. So that is the main reason why he has included different disciplines of life, even musicians and all that. And in my opinion, that is perfectly okay. That signifies a paradigm shift in mindset, radical change in mindset, in harmony with non-alignment to Bharatiya alignment, from colonial hangover to sovereign mindset, or I would say sovereign hangover, you can say. Now I come to other things like there are so many symbols that are yet to be removed, like Star of Bethlehem right in front of Rashtrapati Bhavan. Then army designations, general, lieutenant general, major general, these are all British designations. If you read Mahabharat, you have designations in Hindi, Ati Rathi, Maharathi, like that. So, I would rather demand and suggest a committee should be constituted by army establishment, and they must redesignate themselves thoroughly to get out of this British colonial mindset. Also, these names of colleges like Elphinstone College, St. John's College, St. Stephen's College, all these masjids and mazars, maqbaras, they all are symbols of colonialism, whether Islamic or British or whether Portuguese. Different type of, I would add churches also. So all these have to be revisited. In fact, it's a very vast issue and there are many aspects to it, and it demands comprehensive, thorough discussion on various aspects. I would rather congratulate Prime Minister who has taken up a bold initiative of installing statue of Netaji Subhash and Bose at the Grand Canopy, changing Rajpath to Kartavya Path, and many other roads are going to be renamed. And Rashtrapati Bhavan is already Rashtrapati Bhavan from Viceroy House. Railway budget has been merged with general budget. Finance minister has been using Bahi Khata instead of that briefcase with bulky budget and all that. Three islands in Andamans have been renamed, like Ross Island has become Bose Island, Neil Island has become Shahid Dweep, Havelock Island has become a Swaraj Deep. So that's a very, very important and very, that is a development to be proud of. Now, there is another major innovation that Prime Minister has engineered through UGC, University Grants Commission, and that is the one black convocation robes have been replaced by our Swadeshi apparel. And many universities have already switched over to that. Racecourse Road has become Lok Kalyan Marg. Almost 1500 British era obsolete laws have been repealed, and beating retreat has been modified as we already talked about. So I would say significant changes have already happened, and a lot more is yet to be done. It's a journey, it's a continuous journey, and it has to continue, and with finality. And I suppose with this kind of strive that Prime Minister has undertaken, finality is not very far away. Thank you.
But there are few things which
Right.
we immediately need to change.
Uh,
And when we are discussing what are the symbols and signs and things which need to be changed because they remind us of our period of slavery.
right.
Being from industrial security background, I
Mhm.
know kind of mindset which some people develop over long period of captivity, and that is
Mhm.
called Stockholm syndrome, where
Absolutely.
people start sympathizing with their
Uh,
those criminals who are
right, right.
keeping them in
Yeah.
captivity.
Under whose
So
domination they
the
are.
same thing we Indian face even
Mm.
today to large
Mm.
extent. It
Mm.
is collective Stockholm syndrome where we still feel proud, we still feel positively identified with those symbols which were symbols of kingdom, symbols
Huh.
of kings and roots, and
Right.
certainly they must go.
Mm.
Today, if I do not say me lord in the court,
Excuse me,
I
just a
will be
minute.
held in
Now,
contempt.
you
I
said
will
that
be
some
held.
symbols, you said some symbols have to go. Now, take the example of Gateway of India. Gateway of India was raised in honor of King George V. Now, the question is, are you willing to demolish Gateway of India? Will people of the country they will accept it? So it's this is something that demands a thorough discussion. I mean, this particular question, I would say, Prime Minister must be posed. Are you willing to demolish Gateway of India? Because there is no Indian name on that at all. It was absolutely, it was raised with the sole purpose to honor the visit of King George and Queen Mary. Captain.
Yes. So I have few things in mind, and I would like your comment on it.
Mhm.
Whether we must abolish, remove, and dump in dustbin of our collective memories these
Yeah,
signs of
right.
slavery,
Hmm.
or keep them still intact as stark reality of our past, so
Yeah.
that we are reminded of what has gone wrong in past, so that we don't commit same mistakes in future.
Yeah. See, I have two sets of answers. One is personal and the other one is non-personal. Personal, I would tell you later. Non-personal is let there be a referendum on this issue in the country. If majority wants that all symbols must be destroyed, demolished, so be that. If people want to retain, let it be like that. My personal opinion would be we must destroy and demolish all these symbols and signs. As far as your point of remembrance of history is concerned, that our textbooks will take care of. Our children must be taught correct, exact history of our country, and they will know it very well what all our ancestors had to undergo without those symbols of shame, embarrassment, and servitude. That's my complete answer. Captain Tyagi.
but then before referendum, and it is a
Yeah.
process which ends with the uh, collection of opinion.
Right.
For that, opinion must be built. So
Right.
today we are in the process of building the
Ha, fine.
opinion.
That can
At least
be. That can
two
be.
of us,
Yes.
and
That
those
can be
who join us,
undertaken.
between
Right.
two
That
of
can
us
be
and those
addressed.
who
I
join
agree
us,
with that.
yeah, they will have their own views, and
Uh,
either they are impressed or they are, critical of our views, and they will form their opinion. So, as
Absolutely.
part of the beginning of the process of referendum, this
Uh,
discussion is probably going to lead
Quite
people
possible.
further.
Quite possible. Quite possible.
So,
I mean, the issue the Prime Minister has raised is very. It may be a first chapter of this referendum process. It's quite
yeah,
possible.
and I believe in what Prime Minister has once said,
Hmm.
and he said that voice your concern first. Second,
Exactly.
raise your voices. And
Absolutely.
third,
Yes. Uh,
let it be heard.
yes.
Government will be compelled to take decision thereafter.
Right.
In fact, three different statements he made, and today I use them. Part
Hmm.
of the big picture, I use them. Three
Hmm.
different statements in one reference to context. That
Hmm.
means Government of India, through the project leadership, would like a collective desire for a decision by the government.
Right.
So let us develop a collective desire so that
Uh,
government takes a decision. And then I request you to share what would be the right process for.
Excuse me. At this point, I want to add one point.
Please.
Uh, Government should do all. I mean, as you said, the government should initiate, undertake all efforts. Efforts with ultimate finality of collective Stockholm syndrome. Collective Stockholm syndrome is a beautiful word. It's a wonderful term you used. And that should must appear in the referendum, in all the documents, in our project papers. And the target should be to remove collective Stockholm syndrome. If that is done, then the whole entire job, entire issue will be much easier, much more comfortable. Yeah, Captain.
I'm reminded of my childhood. I was
Yeah.
doing my uh, ninth class and 10th class I did from Bulandshahr. There is a
Mm-hmm.
park there. In that park, there
Mm-hmm.
used to be a very big statue of Queen Victoria, which
Uh,
was, after a lot of demonstration and demand to remove that statue, it was brought to police lines. Since my
right.
father was in police lines, and I
Uh,
used to see that statue every day,
uh,
though it was in a corner, secluded corner, but it
mm,
was still there. And today I wonder what happened to all those statues, where they have gone, and what
uh,
happened to those statues, because
mm,
either they are kept secretly somewhere or they are
mm,
destroyed. But to my knowledge, the Bulandshahr statue, which was kept in police line, is still there. So
right.
what happens to that statue which was under central canopy, where today Chiranjeevi, Subhash
You see,
Bose is
it was reported in newspapers that statue of King George that is still lying in some Freedom Park or some. There is some park and in Delhi itself, and the statue is lying over there. And Queen Mary, you have already confirmed it's lying in Bulandshahr Police lines. So these are not good developments at all. I mean, these statues must be destroyed. I mean, it may be sort of, I mean, somebody will say it's a mischievous move. Let all these statues be shipped back to UK and tell them, please return our Kohinoor at least as a symbol of reversal of servitude. You take back your statues and return Kohinoor that you looted from us.
in fact
So,
Tiwari ji,
uh,
that was my idea also, that
uh,
gave a notice give
yes,
a notice to United Kingdom and
uh,
whosoever is lording over there, that take
right.
your statue back or we will recycle them.
I would
We will
rather support
and
your point
make
by
pedestals for our
mentioning.
statues.
uh, You see, I would like to add that Poland has already issued a notice to Germany. They have demanded reparation, compensation for all the damages ex- undergone by Poland during World War II, done by Hitler. So, precedent is already there. So we can follow, we can take it up and issue a sort of some sort of a notice should be issued by Foreign Ministry, and uh, and our Foreign Minister Jaishankar is a hardcore nationalist. I mean, it should not be very difficult for him to undertake such an exercise. See, free trade agreement that is going to be signed between UK and India in our country, that is a separate issue, and both the issues can go proceed concurrently. Yes.
So when we talk about India Gate,
Huh.
because it is so close to our physical presence, so it is very
Huh.
easy to refer to India Gate,
Yeah. See, in
Gateway of
case of
India,
India, in case
Gateway
of
of India.
India, in case of India Gate, I am a little bit hesitant because it has large number of Bharatiya soldiers and their names are there. Those who fought in Second World War sacrificed their lives for a foreign government. Anyway, whether they should have done that or whether they should not have done that is a separate topic of debate discussion. But names of our ancestors are there. So if it comes to demolition of India Gate, I would say that I mean it should be thought over very carefully.
In fact, there was discussion, and
Huh.
I was part of that group, and discussion went quite long and heated argument.
Hmm.
Point of discussion was that this is in the memory of Indian soldiers.
Huh. That's what I
So
said.
my
Huh.
counter argument was
Huh.
that those were not Indian soldiers. They were
Hmm.
soldiers of British Army, and
Hmm.
they belonged to India
Huh.
that time under slavery of United Kingdom. So
Right.
don't try to glorify that they were Indian soldiers. They were not Indian soldiers. They were not fighting for Indian cause. They did not fight in India. They fought in far away countries for the
Right.
cause of
Agree.
British
I
Empire,
agree.
not for India.
My
So
my
what we should
rejoinder
attempt,
My
yes, yes.
rejoinder is that no doubt they were officially they were British soldiers, but as a matter of fact, they were British Indian soldiers, and they were there because of poverty, because of many compulsions. Country was in shambles. They didn't have any other employment opportunity, either police, army. That's it. You see, I would like to mention at this point, my grandfather, my great grandfather, my great great grandfather, they were all British Indian soldiers. And they all had to quit midway because of friction with British boss. That's the history in my family. So that's the reason why I'm a bit considerate. They were there because of many compulsions. They had no other means of
In fact,
livelihood.
Tiwari ji, I am being army officer. I am
Ah,
totally inconsiderate towards the idea of glorifying India Gate for same reason that why
ah.
we should not glorify the soldiers which were used to fire at Jallianwala Bagh, because they were also doing similar duties.
They are similar to
When,
rail, right?
when native Indian soldiers fired at Indian at Jallianwala Bagh,
I
they were
slightly
doing similar
differ.
duties.
I differ a bit. I differ a bit because the soldiers in Jallianwala Bagh they killed Indians. Indians were killing Indians on orders of a British officer. But see, names of soldiers inscribed on India Gate, they were killing foreigners on behalf of a foreign government, but they belong to our country. They didn't kill Indians.
बट देन तिवारी जी, मैं ये
हाँ,
इसलिए कह रहा हूँ बिकॉज creed and honor of soldier, whether
हाँ,
they are killing Indian or they are killing no foreigners, whether
right.
at Indian soldiers during internal security duty killing Indians even today.
हाँ.
So soldiers' creed is entirely different, but our social no, concept and idea of honoring soldier is little different. So I was being very inconsiderate about the idea of respecting and being sentimental about India Gate. So my point was that, and counter arguments are,
Huh,
arguments are mostly absurd.
exactly.
Counter arguments are mostly absurd. So my
Uh,
argument is also absurd to that extent that I try
huh,
to counter an argument. So coming
hmm,
back to the discussion that we must abolish all symbol of slavery.
huh,
So people, many universities have done on their own,
hmm.
changing their ceremonial robes at the time of
It's gaining momentum.
yes.
Huh,
So convocation ceremony, their ceremonial robes have been changed. Their
hmm,
attires totally have gone changed. The other ceremonies you mentioned,
hmm.
uh, meeting
Like
committee,
convocation.
yeah.
Huh,
So there is a whole list of such symbols and processes,
yeah.
procedures, and different matters of
Right.
conducting ourselves. Like
For example,
youth still using those
huh,
outdated wigs. Why they put on wigs and such long black robes in the
exactly, exactly. By
peak
judiciary,
of
by
summer,
judiciary, by
peak of
judges.
summer in Delhi? It is absurd.
Right,
It is absurd.
right. Absolutely
So
absurd.
I hope that
Even red carpet welcome. Red carpet welcome is
yeah.
a British tradition. I
Why
mean, why
can't it
should there
be?
be a red carpet
Why can't
welcome?
it be blue or green or no carpet at all?
No carpet at all, absolutely. Because
No.
we have our own Sanatan way of welcoming guests. I mean, we may put a tilak or maybe garland or maybe throw a bit of flower petals or something. There are many ways. I mean, depending upon state to state, region to region, they have their own way of welcoming. So, but the red carpet welcome is totally a British innovation and British creation, and it should be shunned immediately. I
So
agree with that point.
my focus, which you mentioned in your opening remark,
Hmm.
is right now on Star of Bethlehem.
Huh. That is
Why should
very.
why should it be there, and what needs to be done about it? In
It
fact, in
should be.
pictorial depiction with the
Yes.
graphics on this discussion, I tried to put Ashoka symbol on top of
Huh.
the pillar. So
No,
why
I
can't
would
it
say
be done?
entire pillar should be demolished. And I tell you, I mean, looking at the creation of Central Vista and so many other pieces of architecture, country has got very brilliant sculpturists and architects, and something completely innovative and new should be designed, not just on a British pillar and with a Ashok Chakra. Why should we follow, I mean, same old beaten track? Let there be something absolutely altogether new. And I'm sure, I mean, this is an idea Prime Minister will like and he will order and he will go for that. So this idea of having a Ashok Chakra on top of the pillar, same old pillar, I'm not in favor of that. I won't support it.
Anyway, that was to generate the ideas. You have
Ah,
already given your idea, and
right.
many other ideas will also come.
Hmm.
And one of them was that maybe not the four-headed lion head,
Ah, ah.
Ashok Chakra. There is another very majestic lion
Hmm.
symbol,
Yeah.
a sitting lion.
Ah.
Very, very majestic symbol, and you look at it and you feel very proud and confident.
You see
So
that symbol, sitting lion. Are you referring to those lions at the entrance of temples in Odisha, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka and all that?
uh,
Like right at the entrance of Jagannath Mandir in Puri, there is a huge. There are two huge lions. Are you referring to that? Fine, that's a good idea. Not bad.
true, true, but then there would be many criticism. You put elephant, then there is a criticism. You put lion, there is a criticism,
No, that is a
and
part of our Bharatiya way of life. That's a part that is unavoidable. That will always happen. You see, when
may-
Prime Minister ordered free grain distribution during Corona epidemic or pandemic, there were a lot of criticism. So you see, all sorts of people are there in our country, and there'll be no counter reaction is impossible. That will always happen. But we have to decide our target and move towards that.
So, uh, in Mumbai, Gateway of India,
Huh.
that that is not Indian building.
Totally, absolutely British.
In
Absolutely
Delhi,
British.
India Gate, again,
Huh.
there is something which must change. But
Hmm.
totally destroying these two buildings would serve no purpose.
They don't serve any purpose,
Like
right?
canopy is used. It
Huh.
is very, very artistically and very cleverly, and I would say, with due respect to those builders and architect of such grand building,
Huh.
nothing wrong
Huh.
with their
Nothing,
artistic
yeah.
approach.
Right.
So, with all the
After
respect,
all, it's
why
our
should
own
the
property.
building be demolished and totally destroyed? These can be used
Hmm.
with few additions, few deletions, and same thing will come out beautifully, totally Indian thing, which Indian ethos, Indian architectural values, and total Indian identity. So,
In
if
fact,
I
the word I use, referendum and thought process consideration, it included all what you have already said. I mean, if they want to use it innovatively, fine. It depends upon it. Let it be decided by those who are experts in the field. I mean, architects and urban planners, and it all depends upon majority opinion, I would say.
I'm sure our viewers have gone to something which has been very close to India Gate
Hmm.
and something we were demanding. And when it started, you know, construction of that place,
Uh-huh.
most of the army fraternity were very critical of it
Ah.
because the ceremony which used to take place under India Gate
Ah.
was to be shifted, and they said what happens to ethos and sanctity and
Exactly.
so you feel
Exactly.
and all things. We
That
demanded
was
Shahid Smarak for so long,
so
War
long.
Memorial for so long,
The,
and
all
if
those
our
words of
viewers
protest.
want to,
Uh, right. Right. Please carry on. Please carry on.
so if our viewers have gone to War Memorial now,
Uh,
युद्ध स्मारक, वहां आप देखिए कि लोग हमेशा 100-200 लोग वहां रहते हैं,
hmm.
कुछ मालाएं लेकर जाते हैं, कुछ फूल लेकर
बिल्कुल.
जाते हैं, बहुत से लोग नामों की तलाश में रहते हैं, हो सकते हैं
Exactly.
उनके परिजन कोई किसी का नाम भी वहां उनको मिल जाता
I
हो।
had received
तो
I had received a photograph on WhatsApp. One lady was crying after she read name of a son who was a martyr, and it was widely circulated. I mean, so in fact, National War Memorial has become sort of a very sentimental point. I mean, so much cherished by people and families of martyrs. It was a very brilliant decision taken by Prime Minister to raise that particular memorial. I do agree,
and
absolutely.
and that canopy remained empty for God knows how
Again,
many decades, and today
so
again,
today it has
you pass through, you
the
pass
real
through.
freedom fighter. Yeah, he was a man. He was a real freedom fighter. You know, when I read what all Netaji did in his lifetime, it is absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe. I'm still unable to convince myself. How could he do it? How could he run away from the country, raise an army with huge amount of funds collected from all over? And he came, he fought back, he killed almost 30,000 British soldiers. And there was a revolt in Navy, so much so that Britishers, they panicked and they decided to run away.
If
It's
my figures
something,
are not wrong, तिवारी जी, मैं
uh,
अपने दर्शकों को भी ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि आईएनए के जो वीर गति को प्राप्त हुए थे सैनिक, उनकी संख्या थी लगभग 26,000।
26,000, right.
और इस वक्त तक जो भारतीय सैनिक शहीद हुए हैं,
Hmm,
उनकी संख्या इस संख्या से कुछ हजार ही ज्यादा है।
I see.
मैं
But how
और
many British soldiers were,
हाँ,
how many
तो
British
ये
soldiers
देखने के लिए
were,
आईएनए का कंट्रीब्यूशन था।
uh,
तो फॉर्चुनेटली मैंने जैसे आपके साथ चर्चा की, मैंने जनरल GD बख्शी के साथ चर्चा की, प्रोफेसर कपिल कुमार के साथ चर्चा की, कर्नल
हाँ
TPS त्यागी के साथ चर्चा की। इन सभी ने नेताजी के ऊपर किताबें लिखी हैं,
हाँ
और वो ये
I
समय की
have also
बुखार।
written an article. I have, by the
जी,
way, I have
मैंने
written an
पढ़ा वो
article
आर्टिकल।
on Netaji. I probably
जी,
had shared it with you also.
मैं इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि आपके साथ मैंने 4 लोग और नाम दिए कि सभी
हाँ,
ने,
right.
हाँ,
हाँ, हाँ,
तो आप भी
हाँ.
उनमें से शामिल हैं। और मैं जानता हूं कि आप सबका योगदान था, और एक
Hmm,
ये कलेक्टिव डिजायर थी, जो आप
hmm,
जैसे समाज के प्रमुख हैं, अग्रणी
hmm.
हैं, जो सम्मति और विमर्श के निर्माता हैं। यू
हाँ,
क्रिएट
हाँ.
नैरेटिव, यू
Sort
एड
of
योर
opinion, opinion maker. हाँ.
form the opinion. So
Hmm.
today you have said very correctly that we must lead to referendum.
Yes,
Our
exactly.
our efforts must lead to a referendum,
Absolutely. Because
and
a lot
in
of
such a way,
sentimental issues are involved. हाँ.
जी, तो इस बीच में
Sentimental.
हमें विमर्श करने की आवश्यकता पड़ेगी, बार-बार विमर्श करने की
हाँ.
आवश्यकता पड़ेगी। जनता
Exactly.
हमारे समाज का एक धारणा बनेगी, उनकी पहले धारणा
हाँ.
बनेगी, तो
Exactly.
एक वो
Exactly.
कॉन्सेप्ट अवधारणा बनाएँगे कि क्या-क्या वो
Exactly.
चाहते हैं, किस प्रकार से चाहते हैं।
Exactly.
तो आज जो बहुत बड़े फिजिकल फॉर्म में हमें स्लेवरी के सिंबल दिखाई देते हैं, वो तो है ही
Hmm.
है। लेकिन
हाँ.
अब कुछ लोग और ये भी कह रहे हैं कि सिर्फ ये ब्रिटिश स्लेवरी के सिंबल ही क्यों, उस पर क्यों सीमित रहे। तो बात
Hmm.
निकलेगी तो दूर तक जाएगी, दूर तक तो
हाँ.
बहुत बहुत लंबी बात जाएगी। लेकिन हम
हाँ.
बेबी स्टेप की तरह से शुरुआत करें। दिस इज बेबी स्टेप, एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू नाउ, एज पार्ट ऑफ योर क्लोजिंग रिमार्क, टू share with our viewers what concisely is in your mind when you say that we must remove all symbols of slavery, and what all would be those prominent few symbols which need to be changed immediately.
I would rather submit that, see, every country, when they were liberated, they destroyed, they removed all symbols of slavery and servitude. And it had a telling effect on their younger generations, subsequent generations. But unfortunately, we didn't do it. And that's the reason traces of servitude are still there in our minds. And today we are talking about how to remove them. So it's an excellent exercise initiated by the Prime Minister that all symbols of slavery must be removed so that at least now, better late than never, coming generations, they are absolutely free in their mind. Their minds, they experience, they understand freedom of thought, liberty, and there are few issues like Gateway of India versus India Gate, like that. So that certainly demands a sort of extensive discussion and maybe even referendum. And then final decision may be taken by the government whether to demolish them or whether to innovatively use them for posterity. Captain,
Thank you very much, Ramakant Tiwari ji.
thank you
It
so
is
much.
indeed my pleasure,
Welcome.
and on behalf of Patriots Forum, I
Welcome,
thank
sir.
you for sparing your time and making this discussion informative and
Thank you
thought
so
provoking.
much. Thank
And
you so
for
much.
viewers, I would like to share a few things about Professor Ramakant Tiwari, which I should have mentioned in the beginning itself, but never too late. And I would like to share with our viewers that Mr. Ramakant Tiwari is a prolific writer. He started writing since 2007. First
Hmm.
title, Srimad Bhagavad Gita as Swadharma Yoga Upanishad, was published in
Hmm.
2015 by Vikas Publishing House and is available on Flipkart and Amazon. Other titles, Mysticism of Sankhya Darshana, Narad Bhakti Sutra, and Exposition Yoga Darshana of Maharishi Patanjali. These two books are waiting for publishers, and currently he is writing Bhashya on Valmiki Ramayana, and Universal Civil Code of Manusmriti has been press ready for publication. He has written about 4,405 articles on various issues of importance. Already, these are available on his website, and link of this website is given in the description box. This discussion was brought to you by Patriots Forum. We are in forefront in bringing the awareness on Sanatan Dharma, the demographic challenges it is facing right now, and we are always very active, supportive, and cooperative of all the initiatives in nation building, character building, especially in youth. And all such initiatives are welcome. Our viewers are reminded to subscribe our channel so that you get advance notice on our further discussion, and these further discussions would be automatically shared to you when you subscribe to our channel. Next discussion from Patriots Forum would be part of the series which we started, the Forgotten Hindu Emperors. भारतीय हिंदू विस्मृत सम्राटों की श्रृंखला, जिसमें हम 4 सम्राटों की पहले से चर्चा कर चुके हैं। ये गौरवशाली सम्राट एक षड्यंत्र के अंतर्गत भारतीय इतिहास से हटा दिए गए, भुला दिए गए। अगली जो चर्चा होगी इसी श्रृंखला में, वो परिचर्चा होगी हमारी एक वीरांगना। भारत में इतिहास में 3 ही वीरांगनाओं का टाइटल 3 साम्राज्ञी रानियों को दिया गया। रानी लक्ष्मीबाई उनमें से प्रथम है। एक और रानी चेन्नम्मा, जिनको वीरांगना की उपाधि दी, और एक और ऐसी रानी जिनका कहीं जिक्र ही नहीं आता है, जिनका कहीं संदर्भ नहीं है, कहीं वो किसी भी ऐतिहासिक दस्तावेज में उसका उस प्रतिष्ठा के साथ उल्लेख नहीं है जिसकी वो हकदार थी, और वो थी वीरांगना झलकारी बाई। तो अगली परिचर्चा हमारी वीरांगना झलकारी बाई के बारे में होगी। तब तक आप ईश्वर से प्रार्थना है कि स्वस्थ रहें, प्रसन्न रहें और परिवार सहित आनंद मंगल होता रहे। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद। थैंक यू।